Hello guys! It is time for a fucking top 10 list. Let's go. I'm feeling pretty bored, so I thought, let's just do a top 10 of my favorite cartoons of the 90s and the early 2000s. Let's go. And first of all, we have Teen Titans. Oh my god, I loved this show when I was a kid. It had pretty much a good mishmash of dark and broody and simultaneously very energetic and humorous. It featured lots of funny characters such as Starfire, and then lots of darker characters such as Raven or Robin, which then usually occasionally shifted the tone. Robin had himself a laugh once or twice, while Starfire had a pretty dark episode from time to time, which were very nice. It had lots of good character development. It featured one of the most heartbreaking story arcs with Beast Boy and Terra when she shows up, and I shipped them so much when I was a kid, but then, well... And it featured Slade Wilson, or Deathstroke. Oh, I love this villain so much. This was my first introduction to this villain, and once I actually got more interested and read up on him, I just couldn't stop loving him till this day. I regret not owning a collection box of this series. I might acquire one further on, but for now, we'll see. Just need to drop in a little note here. Teen Titans Go is fucking trash. And next on the list we have YuGiOh. I got into this show fairly late. By the time I got interested, they were all up in the second season. But I figured the first episode I saw, I just got blown away completely. I had been aware of the show for quite some time, but never really decided to check it out. Once I did, I was sucked in completely. I went back and I watched the first season through and through, and then continued where I started at season 2, and I've been a big fan ever since. I own the video games, the first season on DVD, and then the card game, of course, and that theme song. Very good show. Of course, I cannot forget to mention the horrible censorship this show went through once 4Kids got its dirty little paws on it. To make it more viable for American audiences, 4Kids felt the need to censor many elements from the show. For example, here's a few. Here is the duel between Yugi and Arcana, or Pandora as he is called in original Japanese, or the Swedish dub, which I watched when I was a kid. The stakes are basically, if you lose, these saws will cut off your legs. Well, in the 4Kids censored version, the saw blades have been exchanged for dark energy disc, I think they were called. And if they touch you, you basically get sent to the Shadow Realm. Which is bullshit. And just to take another one for one final example, they removed all sorts of guns from the show. So every time someone is supposed to be pointing a gun, they have removed the gun completely and they just stand there and point their fingers. Which is hilarious. Nevertheless though, the show is fucking awesome. But it had its issues, indeed. Next up, we have Ben 10. I guess the concept of this show, when you were a kid, the concept of this show was fucking awesome. A wristwatch attached to your arm, and then being able to turn into 10 different aliens with different powers. It was awesome. I never really watched the entire show, just very discoherent. I watched a few episodes here, a few episodes there. So the number of episodes I saw were quite a lot. I saw many episodes, but never in great continuity. So I guess, like, I missed out on the red thread of the entire plot, but I guess, fuck it, aliens kicking ass is just awesome. I watched a few of the cartoon movies, even the live action movie, which is pretty shitty, but, well, it's Ben 10. Everyone loves Ben 10, and that fucking awesome theme song, so catchy. And here we have the new adaptation of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This theme song is extremely catchy. I used to hum it with my friends all the time. We used to play around as the Turtles. This is the Turtle show. I never quite owned these on DVD. I grew mostly up with the 80s version, but these ones were definitely more kick-ass and dark, while you had the more humorous in the 80s version. So I have a very conflicted opinion here. I probably say that the 80s version still remains the best, but if you want to take the show a lot more seriously, a lot more darker, maybe even a little too much so at times, since it tries to be a lot edgy at times, but then I would have to go with this new version. But both are great. I say check them both out. Just as a little side note, so you'll know what I'm talking about. Here is the Shredder from the 80s cartoon.
Och nu kronan på verket. Nej, inte det. Jag hatar ansjovis. Det här ska Turtles få betala för.
And here is the Shredder from this cartoon.
Here alive.
And here we have Avatar, The Last Airbender. I got introduced to this show very late indeed. I remember catching a few episodes with a couple of friends once. They were gonna watch it and they were like, hey, you wanna join us? I was like, what are we watching? And like, yeah, we're watching Avatar. Have you seen it? No, what's that? And they showed me a few episodes. They showed me the pilot episode and I was like, This is awesome. Sorry, my cough is acting up. This is awesome. I want to see more of this. So I got them. I got all 3 seasons on DVD, and I only recently finished Legend of Korra, and I have to say, it definitely doesn't match up to Last Airbender, but still, okay show, I guess. Avatar is fucking awesome, and I love it. And next we have Transformers Armada. While not critically the best show in the Transformers universe, I personally think it's the best. Subjectively, since I'm very nostalgic towards it, this is the Transformers show I grew up with, and I can never let this thing go. Holy shit, I love this show. I can, even though I watched it in the Swedish dub, I own them all on DVD except the first 3 volumes, I think. I own those on VHS, but well... I grew so fond of all the characters on this show. It had tons of heart. There were lots of filler, it's infamous for having tons of animation errors, and even as a kid I managed to sniff some of those out, and as I look back at it now, some of those animation errors are very hilarious. But great show, badass moment, and kick-ass music. And here we have XMen, the animated series. This one was aired on Fox Kids when I was a kid, and I loved this show. I couldn't follow the plot for shit when I was a kid, since, well, the plot is pretty advanced for being a kid's show, I guess. But I was like 5 or 4 years old when I watched this, so I couldn't follow the show for shit. But, this got me introduced to Wolverine, and when I saw him on the big screen for the first time in the XMen movie, oh, good lord. So yeah, great show, one of the most kick-ass theme songs of all time. I own all the episodes on DVD, and I enjoy watching them now as much as I did when I was a kid. And here we have Justice League. Oh, I remember this show so much. I think my father is guilty for this one as well. He introduced me to lots of superhero stuff when I was at a young age, so he encouraged me to watch Justice League, and it was an awesome mishmash of characters you have seen before. For example, we'll get to that later, but the Batman animated series and the Superman animated series all tie into this. So after watching those, I come into this and see that all of my favorite heroes have like a band, they work together, they're a team, let's go. And here we have Batman Beyond. The sequel to Batman the Animated Series. You obviously can't top animated series. We'll get to that later, but Batman Beyond is a well-deserved sequel. It continued the story with Terry McGinnis as the Batman of the future. Oh, I remember Batman, everyone knows about Batman. The cape, the cowl, the symbol, the gadgets and everything. But you also know his limitations. He doesn't have any superpowers or anything. He is just very, very skilled. But now here comes Terry. He isn't as bright as the previous Batman, but it makes up for it with his new and kick-ass supersuit. We have they got rid of the cape entirely, and this is more of a combat suit, to be honest. And it has built-in fucking deployable wings, jet skis, he can camouflage, he can fucking fly. Batman flies now, with his suit. Oh, that was so badass. The first time I saw it, and then the theme song kicked on. Oh, nostalgia freaking boner. Love this show. And the #1 winner for my top 10 favorite cartoons when I was a kid goes to Batman, the animated series. What can I say? I always try to strive to find the things that a show or a movie could have done better, but I can't seem to find it here. So in my opinion, this show is simply perfection. I will admit to going full fanboy for this show. I will defend it till I die. I own the entire series on DVD, and it is one of my most praised items in my collection, and I'm very proud of owning the whole collection. And of course, that is just the Batman part of the DC animated universe. There is still the Superman animated series and the Justice League animated series together with Static Shock and Batman Beyond. When this show came out, it changed everything. Several character arcs and even characters themselves that we now know and love have spawned from this show. The prime example is Harley Quinn. She was created for this show. Had this show not existed, we wouldn't have Harley Quinn today. Mr. Freeze is another example. Without this show, Mr. Freeze would probably still be just another cool villain with a cool gimmick. In this show, his arc is almost set to Shakespearean level of fucking storytelling. And that's just 2 examples of what this show did. It changed the entire scene of how we look at cartoons. all in all. And of course not forgetting Mark Hamill as the Joker.
Buckle up and enjoy the ride.
This show encompasses everything. It had heart, it had humor, it had dark moments, it had light moments. Everything you can possibly imagine exists somewhere in this show. There is something for everyone in here. Something for everyone to enjoy. And if that isn't worth praising, I don't know what is.